This week, we're continuing our exploration of winner-take-all politics, how Washington made the rich richer and turned its back on the middle class. If you missed our first installment, you'll find it at our website, BillWarriors.com. Now, this is only the second broadcast of our new series, yet we've already made our choice for the best headline of the month. Here it is. Citigroup replaces J.P. Morgan as White House Chief of Staff. Behind that headline is a tangled web. The new Chief of Staff is Jack Lew. He used to work for the giant banking conglomerate Citigroup. His predecessor as Chief of Staff is Bill Daley, who used to work at the giant banking conglomerate J.P. Morgan Chase. Daley was maestro of the bank's global lobbying and the chief liaison to the White House. Bill Daley replaced Obama's first Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel, who once worked for a Wall Street firm where he was paid a reported $18.5 million in less than 3 years. The new Chief of Staff, Jack Lew, comes from Obama's Office of Management and Budget, where he replaced Peter Orszag, who now works as Vice Chairman for Global Banking at the giant conglomerate Citigroup. Still following me? It's startling, the number of high-ranking Obama officials who have spun through the revolving door between the White House and the sacred halls of investment banking. But remember, it was Bush and Cheney's cronies in big business who helped walk us right into the blast furnace of financial meltdown. Then they rushed to save the banks with taxpayer money. But of course, Bush and Cheney aren't the only ones to have a soft spot for financiers. Bankers seem to come and go pretty frequently at the White House. President Obama may call them fat cats and stir the rabble against them with populist rhetoric when it serves his purpose. But after the fiscal fiasco, he allowed the culprits to escape virtually scot-free. And when he's here in New York, he dines with them frequently and eagerly accepts their big contributions. Like his predecessors, Obama's administration has also provided the banks with billions of low-cost dollars they use for high-yielding investments to make big profits. It's a fact. The largest banks are actually bigger than they were when he took office and earned more in the first 2.5 years of his term than they did during the entire 8 years of the Bush administration. And get this, President Obama's new best friend, according to the New York Times, is Robert Wolf. They play golf, basketball, and they talk economics when Wolf is not raising money for the president's re-election campaign. Now, just who is Robert Wolf? Well, he's top dog at the U.S. branch of the giant Swiss bank UBS, the very bank that helped rich Americans evade taxes. Here, Senator Carl Levin describes some of the tricks used by UBS.
Swiss bankers aided and abetted violations of U.S. tax law by traveling to this country with client code names, encrypted computers, counter-surveillance training, and all the rest of it, to enable U.S. residents to hide assets and money in Swiss accounts.
Quite a tangled web. One man who has strong views on all these cozy ties between Wall Street and Washington is David Stockman. In the 1970s, he was a young Republican congressman from Michigan and an early proponent of supply-side economics. Some call it trickle-down. You know the theory. If you cut taxes on the wealthy while cutting government, the economy will take off, money trickling down and creating millions of jobs. It was the centerpiece of Ronald Reagan's 1980 campaign for president.
There is enough fat in the government in Washington that if it was rendered and made into soap, it would wash the world.
Once in the Oval Office, President Reagan made David Stockman his budget director.
When President Reagan gave me this job, he pointed to that budget, which is some thousands and thousands of pages long, and he said, go through it from top to bottom with a fine-tooth comb, and unless you can find a persuasive demonstration why funds must be spent, cut those budgets.
Stockman helped Reagan usher in the largest tax cut in U.S. history, a cut that mainly favored the rich. But things didn't go exactly as they planned them. The economy